Over 4 million Gen Zers are jobless, and don't worry, they have a new acronym for them. Experts blame colleges for worthless degrees and a system of broken promises for the rising number of NEETs. There's been a mass derailment when it comes to Gen Z and their careers. About a quarter of young people are now deemed NEETs, meaning they are no longer in education, employment, or training. In the US, for us, this means 4.3 million Gen Zers not in school or work. In many cases, young people have been sent off to universities for worthless degrees, which have produced nothing for them at all. The political commentator, journalist, and author Peter Hitchens slammed colleges. But then, and they would be much better off if they apprenticed to plumbers or electricians. They would be able to look forward to a much more satisfying and abundant life. No, Peter Hitchens. They should have been told that they could go apply for entry-level journalism and writing jobs, because they could have. They didn't have to buy degrees in order to do that. I'm sick and tired of hearing talking heads tell every kid that doesn't want to go buy a 4-year degree that the problem is that they didn't go into the trades. It's not. It's the fact that 7.7% of all the jobs in our country legally require college degrees, and we are sending 62% of our high school seniors into 4-year universities that cost on average $104,000 to $156,000, with a total all-in cost with tuition, lost wages, and interest of $500,000 for bachelor's degrees that none of them need to apply for entry-level jobs, doing exactly what all of these talking heads who keep telling them to go into the trades are doing. Efforts should include ramping up accessible entry points like apprenticeships and internships, especially for disengaged young people, as well as building better bridges between industries and education systems. You know what builds better bridges between industries and education systems is stop telling all high schoolers that the only form of education is college, because it's not. It's one of many educational products. It is subpar. It is not good at training for careers. It barely qualifies as education at this point. Yes, the better and more personalized career guidance, that is the key. The article goes on to say that the colleges aren't doing this on purpose. Yes, they are. They're greedy. They're basically hedge funds, and all they care about is closing the deal on bankruptcy-exempt debt from all of these young people. It is absolutely their fault. And this is a key that we talk about at Degree Free, is when you don't know what options exist, no one is helping you connect the dots, and the next step feel risky or out of reach, because it's no surprise that many young people pause. The question is, why they disconnect. It's why we haven't done a better job of recognizing the old ways aren't working anymore, and young people need more options and better support to meet them where they are. If you have a child who is in NEET or falls into this category, we fix this exact problem. All it takes is time. You have to do research. You have to figure out what they need from their work, what jobs fit that work, and you have to go out and do the research to help them sort through it because of the age that we live in, and then figure out what skills are interesting for them to learn, what certs, licenses, and skills that they're going to need to get those jobs, and then help them find entry-level work that fits those things. A degree at no point comes into that for most of the kids who are graduating high school, and this includes for high-paying tech roles. How do I know that? I worked in AI and machine learning without buying a college degree. Never would have been on the menu for me. But thank goodness, I did not fall prey to a system that taught me 6 to 8 jobs, all of which required me to buy a college degree when those things didn't fit the type of life that I want. And thank goodness I didn't listen to all these talking heads telling me to go be an electrician because they didn't know what else to do with me. I'm sick of it. Talk to your kids. Figure out how much money they need to make, what work environment they want to be in, how they want to work as far as schedule goes, and then what location they'd like to live in. Search for jobs by that, and then help them narrow down which certs, which licenses, which software, hardware, and skills they're going to need to get those jobs, and then help them go find entry-level jobs. But you have to help them be strategic about which applications they are spending their time and effort on, and which skill match things they need to learn in order to fit what employers are looking for. What you don't do is send them to trade school for the same reason you sent them to college, which is because you didn't know what the other options were, and neither did they. Help them find them.
It's actually so funny to think that people out there still think a college degree means anything. It does not mean shit. And I don't know if your parents tell you it means something or your grandparents tell you it means something, but the truth is, it doesn't mean anything. And whatever it means right now in 3 to 4 years, when AI takes over the world, it's certainly going to mean absolutely nothing. Unless you want to be a doctor or an engineer, those are the only two things that it really matters for at this point in time, because AI is going to take over the lawyer job probably soon here as well. So everything is going to change. I'm a millionaire at 24 years old, no college degree whatsoever, 1.7 GPA. If you told a boomer that, they would probably be completely confused. But this is just the reality of the society and the world that we live in right now. And it's only going to get worse and worse in the next couple of years. So the moral of the message is if you're not learning content creation, how to be an influencer or sell products online, and if you're not interested in that and you're not doing anything with AI, you're kind of cooked in the terms of like the money side of things. Like obviously you can live a fulfilled life and go be a veterinarian, like cool. If that's like something you love, you want to be a marine biologist, cool, you can do that as well. But like if you want to make money while you're young and you're not doing AI and you're not doing content creation, I have no idea what to tell you, because this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. AI is going to be a quadrillion-dollar industry pretty soon once quantum computing comes out. And if you don't understand how these things work, you are going to get left in the dust. So put your fucking degree in the trash can where it belongs. Stop wasting your time on shit that's never going to serve you. Because the amount of people that I know that went to college, can't find a job, outweighs the amount of people that went to college and actually found a job, unless they're like a nurse or something. So lock in, bro.
Shalom, like to say, call on Allah, Yahweh Bashim Ashab Bashim Hakadash, Tab honors about the Oscar Mill Son, peace, citation, hope for Allah. I'd like to get into this article. It says from the nypost.com, Gen Z grads say their college degrees were a waste of time and money as AI infiltrates the workplace. And this is by Marissa Matozo. And let me see. It's published on April 21st, 2025. And it says 4 years of classes, thousands of dollars in tuition, and one freshly minted diploma, all to be outdone by a chatbot. As artificial intelligence floods the workplace, nearly half of Gen Z job seekers say their degrees have already been made obsolete by the rise of generative AI tools like ChatGPT, and they're wondering why they even bothered hitting the books in the first place. It's a waste of time and money, according to respondents to a new Indeed report, which found 49% of Gen Z job hunters think their college education has lost value in the job market thanks to AI. Only about 1/3 of millennials feel the same way, and just 1 in 5 boomers have similar regrets, as CIO Dive reports. The tech tide isn't turning anytime soon. Businesses are adopting AI faster than you can say. Resume rewriter and young workers, especially fresh out of college grads, are feeling the squeeze the most. Indeed's new report, conducted by Harris Poll and based on responses from 772 U.S. workers and job seekers with at least an associate's degree, reveals a generational divide in career confidence. Younger applicants are far more likely than their older counterparts to feel that AI has rendered their skills and schooling useless. Even worse, college degrees are rapidly losing priority in job listings, with companies increasingly dropping the 4-year requirement. Half of Gen Z now say college was a poor investment altogether. It says AI is reshaping jobs from the bottom up, changing tasks, pay, and even who lands the role, from interns to execs. Every job currently posted on Indeed's job board will likely experience some level of exposure to generative AI and changes it represents. Indeed senior talent strategy advisor Lindsay Fagan warned readers in an email to CIO Dive, and employers aren't just looking for folks with a fancy paper, they're looking for people who know how to work with the machines. For any organization to succeed with AI, every single employee needs to have a basic understanding of AI and how their company uses it, said Fagan. Leaders play a crucial role in this shift by assessing their teams, listening to the individual needs, and supporting their development. The pressure to adapt is real, from entry-level to roles to the C-suite. AI is transforming not just how people work, but what they work on, how they are paid, and even who gets hired. Online learning platform O'Reilly saw AI course enrollment quadruple last year as pros rushed to the master prompt engineering, machine learning, and more. Some employers responded by offering upskilling programs like tech vendors, while tech vendors like Microsoft and Google are rolling out public training tools to get workers AI ready and help them stay that way. Online education platform O'Reilly reported a huge surge in demand for AI learning tools last year, with 4 times as many professionals enrolling in courses on machine learning, prompt engineering, and other once niche skills. To truly unlock the potential of AI, organizations must invest in their people, offering training, hands-on experiences, and opportunities to explore new tools in a supportive environment, said Fagan. Organizations need employees to be motivated to try these tools and want to apply them in their day-to-day. This means it's best to learn the tech or get left behind. For Gen Z grads facing a mountain of student debt in a job market where college degrees are being outpaced by coding boot camps and chatbot know-how, it's a bitter pill to swallow. The new diploma is digital and spelled AI. Wow. Without further ado, I'll bring out some scriptures and we'll make this less edifying. And before I bring out the scriptures, I just want to point out the fact that when it's coming to the videos that I brought out, there's 2 videos right there. One of the first video with the woman was talking about how, people on average are paying about 6 figures in debt to a degree that didn't even help them get a job, and now you have it to where, people within the Gen Z now are mostly thinking about entering into the trade jobs instead. And she was recommending that, you get certain licenses, that you get into like a skilled, trade or something of that effect. And she also mentioned about getting particular, certificates, like let's say in learning AI and things of that nature, to pretty much, have an edge nowadays to get a position in a company or so. And realistically, now they're looking for you to be experienced and having certain skills that's going to be an asset for the company, instead of just having a piece of paper that just mentions that you have completed, whatever requirements that was needed to get that particular degree. Because companies are looking at that now like that's really nothing. And you see, it goes to show how Esau is a devil that speaks with a double tongue, because at one point, this is what they would teach everybody. They would say, go to college, get a degree and all this stuff, get even to have a higher advantage, getting a master's or a doctorate or so. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have a hard finding a job too, because they still want experience regardless. When you applying for a company, they want you to have that corporate level experience. And you see, you got a lot of people mourning about this shit. And like the guy said in the last video, he doesn't even have like a good GPA. He was saying he had a 1.7 GPA, but yet he's a young millionaire and he's skilled in learning how to sell and doing content creation and all that stuff. So he mentioned that that's the type of skills that you have to have, even learning how to utilize AI. And he's right in those cases, because this is the reality of this world now, is that everything with AI is going to be getting more advanced. It automates and streamlines your work progress and the workflow. And just for your resume to even get looked at by a recruiter, you have to make sure that it's tailored to that particular job description, to the job that you're applying for, so that you could sound like an outstanding candidate, because that's what they really want. And you got to stretch the truth at this point, because I know for a fact when they're interviewing other people, those people, they're not all going to tell the truth. They're going to stretch the truth to a degree to make themselves sound more outstanding. And that's what you got to do, because you be honest and you continuously hit them with the 100% truth about you, they're just going to think you're a liability, to be honest. You won't get nowhere, but in this world, it's like you got to survive. And then honestly, when they tell you to go to college and all this shit, they're not holding your the loan payments back on you. They're gonna expect you to pay something, even if you have a low wage job. And it's really fucked up to see how Esau could just lie and tell you to do these things. And the funny thing about these people is that, you know, it comes to the point where they just allowing this devil to take advantage of them like this, and they're not even fighting back, especially Edomites as well, because this is really their kingdom. So let me just bring out the precepts now. It says in Sirach chapter 28 verse 13, curse the whisperer and the double tongue, for such have destroyed many that were at peace. The backbiting tongue have disquieted many and driven them from nation to nation. Strong cities have it pulled down and overthrown the houses of great men. So yeah, but even with Esau's, you know, his lies, it has pretty much messed up with a lot of people's minds. It have destroyed, you know, family units, family structures. It has fucked up the mindset of women. It has pretty much brought a lot of, you know, mental destruction upon many, you know, because people, they end up losing their morals and their etiquette that they once had. They end up losing, you know, value because of this devil Esau pushing people to do things of their own flesh, pushing lust of the flesh instead of pushing what's actually logical, what's actually truly, you know, spiritual and righteous. You know, that's why everybody is moving off of their emotions and their feelings and things of that nature. No one's moving off of things that's logical. It says a backbiting tongue have cast out virtuous women and deprived them of their labors. Yeah, that's pretty much, you know, what I've done. And, you know, it deprived them of their true labors, because their labor was supposed to be a housekeeper and to be all obedient to their husband, you know, to even, you know, go as far as saving their body for that one man. You know, that's pretty much how it's supposed to be done. But instead, you got women nowadays in society that just date whoever, whenever, you know, and they pretty much hold the key to sex. And that's because Esau has given them that liberty to do so, to get out abroad. And, you know, it took a lot of witchcraft that Esau did behind the scenes, a lot of conditioning, a lot of, you know, advertising, you know, wickedness. It took a lot of, like, influencing just to, and even gradualism, of course, to do it over time, to make people turn out to be the way they are now. You know, this is how the devil, this is how he operates. He doesn't come off strong with these things. He comes out, he does it slowly. As our scriptures say, he's the most subtle beast of the field. You know, he's a slanderer, as it goes into the definition of a serpent, and he's a deceiver, which, of course, that's a definition of a devil. And this is what Esau does. You know, he tries to make you feel like you need to do something new for an exchange, something outside of what you're originally accustomed to doing, to make it feel like, you know, it feels good to do something new that's wicked. But then eventually you get to the point where now you realize it wasn't really a righteous thing to do. So, you know, you end up feeling regret. And in verse 16 it says, whoso hearkeneth unto it shall never find rest and never dwell quietly. Yeah, because you're going to be a person that run to do everything that, you know, the government lies to you about. You know what I mean? And you're going to do everything. You're going to believe in whatever they say. You know what I mean? So you're not going to have that sound mind if you hearken unto this devil Esau. You know, scriptures tell you to never trust thine enemy. You know, this whole time he always made it seem like people that graduate out of college will be more successful than people who did trade jobs and all this nonsense. But realistically, people that do trade jobs, they enter into the workforce quicker, and their trade experience, which is actually skilled labor, they are more likely to get an entry-level job within their skilled labor, and then eventually advance on their skills. Now it's like, in order to get within a particular role, with these office jobs, working for these corporations, right? Whether you're doing something business tech related, or something along those lines of engineering, or what you usually get a degree for, they require you to have all this years of experience, and it's really insane. And people that got caught up in that BS, now they have to pretty much run to get something else, get into another trade, to pretty much go as far as trying to get in something that can help pay the bills and pay off their debts. And the student loan would be the biggest debt that they gotta pay for at that point. It says, the stroke of the whip maketh marks in the flesh, but the stroke of the tongue breaketh the bones. Many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many have fallen by the tongue. And in Psalms 58 verse 2 says, yeah, in heart ye work wickedness, ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. The wicked are estranged from the womb, they go astray as soon as they are born, speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent, they are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. Scriptures say, when Yahweh was talking to those wicked Pharisees, Sadducees, scribes, he said, "You have your father the devil, and the lust of your father you would do. He's a liar, and he's a father of it." So basically, of course, Yahweh was talking to 2/3 of his own people, but he was mentioning that Esau is a father of all lies. And we pretty much see that because growing up, you was always told lies from when you was young. You was always told that certain things, let's say that Santa was real, or the Easter Bunny was real, the Tooth Fairy was real. You was told all that bullshit just to realize when you become a certain age, as you get older, like in high school or whatever, and then you realize that those things were just lies, and you pretty much grew up on basically being told a lot of lies. Even certain myths you found weren't true. This devil Esau, like, he just goes as far as like just making you like accustomed to being ignorant. So let's say you grow up watching cartoons, they will say, they will have certain things that they show in the cartoons, like elephants like peanuts, or rats love cheese, or rabbits eat carrots, things like that. So they'll basically have you accustomed to those lies from a young age, and then you grow up thinking those things. It goes to show that the average American is really foolish, that they don't even do something as simple as searching things up to see if anything is true or false. A lot of times it's just something as simple as a few second research, and they can't even do that. In Sirach, or Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 3, it says, "And a wise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority the city shall be inhabited." So yeah, and a wise king like Esau is one that will destroy his own people by telling them all these type of lies, having them going through so much, an exorbitant amount of debt they gotta pay back. He has them struggling. He has his own people in slavery, which is sad. Because I remember last time I checked scriptures, I believe in Lamentations 2nd chapter, somewhere down the last few verses, it mentions something about, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. That, Lamentation, the 4th chapter, is like in. But yeah, so, it mentioned about how you gotta rejoice and be glad for your, your cup is gonna basically soon come, where you're gonna have to drink it eventually. And, you Edomites should be in a time of just like rejoicing and living it up until the Lord's second coming. And the sad thing is, a lot of y'all not even enjoying. You know, you're feeling the pressure of the beginning of sorrows in a sense. Feeling like all the things that your upper level Edomites had in place for the society, you know, you was thinking to yourself that you gotta try to run to go to college or whatever the case is, you know, doing whatever they tell you in society, just to realize now it wasn't even worth anything for you to do all that, because now it got you in debt and you can't even find the dream job that you was, you know, seeking for. And in Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 6, it says, folly set in great dignity and the rich sit in low place. And you know, one of the greatest examples of folly being set in great dignity is the fact that how, you know, people will base, like, let's say a GPA, a high GPA, or even just you having all these academic achievements, they will consider that as intelligence. And it's really not true intelligence, because that's just wisdom in this world. And the Most High deems wisdom in this world as foolishness. You know? Because look now, all these degrees, and yet now it's still hard to find a job. Those wealthy Rockefellers and Rothschilds, those family, you know, banking family members, you know, of the elites, they don't have to get degrees. They don't never, I don't believe not one of them have any degrees for the most part. And look how wealthy they are. They set that standard for you lower level Edomites and just, you know, the people in this world in general, just so that y'all could go as far as trying to, you know, stress yourself out to get in those particular academic achievements. And if you don't have any particular experience, you know, to even go as far as applying for the job or whatever, because they're gonna, a lot of times they're gonna request for that 9 out of 10 times, and because you don't have the experience, they're not even gonna think you're worthy of the interview, even if you have a bachelor's or a master's degree or whatever. So it shows you that all those years of studying, you know, for nothing, just to pretty much pay so much debt back in the end, which shows you that this devil Esau, you know, is nothing but a damn scammer. You know, he putting you fucking people in a Ponzi scheme, even his own people at that. And scriptures say in Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 16, woe to thee, O land, with thy king as a child, and thy princes eat in the morning. Yeah. You know, Esau, of course, is a child, and you see, one thing about a child is a child lies a lot. A child goes off on impulse. And scriptures say that in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, that you know, it says something about how the spirit is not upright in him. So, you know, he has that crooked spirit, you know. Scriptures say you can't make something that's you can't make something that's unclean, you can't make it clean. You know, you can't make what's crooked to turn out to be straight. And of course, this is the Most High's power. This is how he programmed Esau. And because Esau is a ruler of this world, you know, scripture said that where the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. But when the righteous are in authority, people rejoice. And people are really mourning because this devil's in rulership. And when the earth is given to the hand of the wicked, you know, he's gonna do all type of shit to pretty much to make everybody feel a form of his wrath. And this is one of the forms of his, you know, wrath, making people go through so much bullshit. And I'm not gonna hold you, even to the point where, you know, he sets folly to great dignity, to the point where people will go as far as even maybe shaming you or making you feel like you're an outcast because you didn't do what everybody else did in the family. Like, let's say everyone else went to college or so, and you was one of those people that decided to do something else different for an exchange, to not waste your youth on, something that's useless. And it's like, you were better off just picking up a minimum wage paying job even after high school, just to say, because sometimes you might even work for some of these corporations in an entry level position, and some of them don't even pay you, enough to get by sometimes. And then for the jobs that actually pay decent, they will require the degree and the years of experience as well, which is complete bullshit. But yeah, that's it on that. Hope I may listen and find out to give all glory, praise, honor to Adonai Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Shamalak Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakadash, double honor to the apostles, the elders, millstone, peace to that teacher, hope for the Shalom.